Well, thank you, Andrew, for that very thoughtful introduction. I deeply appreciate it. And thank you, members of the senior class, for the invitation to speak to you on behalf of my faculty colleagues who've gathered here to congratulate you, the class of 2011. You sure picked a great time to be at Butler University. Now, I'm not going to try to enumerate all the steps that brought you to this day, and I'm certainly not going to try and predict the steps that lie ahead for you. But I do ask you to let me play the professor one last time and point out that the word graduation comes from the Latin word gradus, which means step. So, as you step up onto the stage in a few minutes and walk a few paces in view of the crowd, you will indeed be graduating, taking a step, a new step, into a new world. Now, if my little Latin lesson strikes you as pretty impractical, something you could spend a happy day without knowing about, just think about how impractical the whole of this graduation day is. First of all, these robes and crazy hats. I mean, what's the point? And they cost you money. Of course, you get to keep the outfit. I'm sure you're really pleased about that. But your family and friends don't even get a tassel. And to watch you graduate, they're going to watch 848 other people graduate, most of whom are strangers to them. It really would be easier if we did graduation some other way. I mean, we could text you your degree. Or if that seems a little too slimmed down, we could do graduation on Skype. Of course, the reason we're doing what we're doing today is obvious when you stop and think about it. Today is not just a day for degree granting, nor even just a day for saying congratulations. Today is a celebration. It's a party. And for a party, we need to get together. We need each other's flesh and blood presence. We need each other's spiritual proximity, too. Call it friendship, if you like. On graduation day, we need to be together. Now, I realize that talking about togetherness can get pretty sentimental pretty fast. Still, I do believe that working together as a mutually supportive team or community really is something that distinguishes Butler University. Or to put it more precisely, it's something which you, your student generation, has clarified for Butler University in remarkable ways in the last 4 years. When we think of discipline teams of Butler students, of course, our thoughts turn first to the athletic programs, which have represented us so splendidly, and in several different sports. But I've got other teams on my mind as well. For example, there's the team led by members of your class that brought us Shakespeare's As You Like It this past February, and Shakespeare's Twelfth Night in December, and Shakespeare's Tempest just last month. 3 Shakespeare productions in 5 months. Now that is serious teamwork. And there's the 109-member, ever beautiful team we call Butler Ballet, which brought us Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty 2 weeks ago, and Swan Lake last April, and Cinderella the April before that, and Giselle the April before that. And there's the 81-member Butler Symphony Orchestra, which took on the formidable challenge of presenting Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony this past February. And if you're fuzzy about who Shostakovich was, just ask one of these bulldogs down here in the orchestra pit. I'm sure they'll clear it up for you. They better be able to clear it up for you. And then there are the teams that served the underserved, such as the medical brigades of Butler's Timmy Foundation chapter, who traveled a couple thousand miles from our campus to help bring decent health care to a community in Guatemala, and the pharmacy and health sciences students who traveled a few thousand yards from our campus to help bring decent health care to communities in Indianapolis. And think of Program Board's spectacular dance marathon that raised a record-setting $100,000 for the children at Riley Hospital. This is just a minute sample of the things you and your class have been doing for the past 4 years. But this is graduation day. This is a day when, like the Roman god Janus, you have to wear two faces at the same time, the face that looks back to where you've just been, and the face that looks forward to where you're now going. Many of you don't yet know just where that is. And to be perfectly honest, even those of you who know where you're going next don't really know what that route holds in store for you. But remember, the values that got you this far, hard work, quality work, teamwork, and friendship, are the same values that will take you further. You've done great things for the last 4 years, and we all feel a twinge at the thought that those years are now over. But here's the good news. The last 4 years are not your final 4. You can go on doing what you've been doing, only in new contexts, as members of new teams, and doing it even better. Some of you are joining the Indianapolis Public Schools or other school systems, a truly patriotic career choice for citizens of a democratic republic, since a democracy without an effective system of universal education is on its way to becoming something other than a democracy. And some of you will be putting your intellect and team spirit to work in the financial and commercial sectors, helping to incubate and accelerate the kinds of enterprises on which the prosperity and very likely also the peace of our country will depend. And speaking of peace, at least 2 of you are joining the United States Peace Corps, and 1 of you has just received his commission as an officer in the United States Air Force. And 1 of you will soon be joining the Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies, the most distinguished institution of its kind in America. And speaking of America, several of you are joining AmeriCorps, or Teach for America, to help build stronger communities here at home. And then there are those highly specialized teams to which some of you have been recruited, such as the Department of Physics at the University of Michigan and at Washington University and at Ohio State, and the Graduate Department of Chemistry at the University of Chicago and at Wisconsin and at Pitt and at Notre Dame, not to mention a lot of other fine programs in these and other disciplines. Of course, none of this has happened yet. It starts tomorrow, while today is still today, graduation day. In today's celebration, however, you have a precious resource which you can put to work tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. Let me sum it up in the words of a really wise person, Master Kung, a teacher from the ancient Chinese state of Lu, the person we call Confucius. In a lovely passage of the Analects, one of Confucius's friends asks him about the meaning of togetherness. And Confucius replies, "Live every day as if you were attending a great ceremony. Treat everyone as if you were receiving an important guest." It's a beautiful thought. Let this special day, this impractical ceremonial graduation day, serve as a reminder to treat every day as a special day. Let it serve as a reminder to greet every morning as a special morning, as a time for a new step, a fresh idea, a chance to do something that hasn't been done before, a chance to acknowledge someone you haven't acknowledged before. So remember graduation day. Remember the smiles on 1,000 faces, the pride in your parents' hearts, the tears in your friends' eyes, and the love all around you. Remember these things and tell yourself, I'm going to look for them every day. You'll make the world a better place by doing that, and you'll find yourself empowered to cope with winter and rough weather. And while you're at it, while you're using the gifts which are yours, remember also to thank the giver. And may the giver of every good and perfect gift speed you on your way. Congratulations again, and thanks for listening.
On the recommendation of the faculty, with the approval of the Butler University Board of Trustees, and by the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, President Bobby Fong, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto.
That was one of the few times where we didn't have to ask the honorary degree recipient to bend down. Trustees, fellow faculty and staff, students, parents, and friends, I am honored by having been made a member of the graduating class of 2011. With you, my classmates, I will be departing this nurturing community to a new stage of my life with new challenges. Unlike most of you, however, I've had the opportunity to graduate before and to experience the transition from undergraduate study to the opportunities that await. It is my privilege to briefly offer some counsel to you upon this occasion. My essential admonition is simple. Make good use of your freedom. Let me organize my remarks around two poles. What are you free from, and what are you free to be? Now, freedom doesn't start today with your graduation. However much you may be tempted to chant the old childhood rhyme, no more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks. We're not talking about emancipation, a single event, but freedom, a condition of being that you will be learning to live into your whole life. As a teacher and administrator, I have loved working with undergraduates because, apart from infancy, you change more between the ages of 18 and 22 than in any other four-year period of your life. For some of you, these years have been transformative. One member of our class is graduating in actuarial science, but has accepted a fellowship to be a mathematics teacher because service to inner-city youth has become more important than business success. Recently, I had occasion to talk to parents of a former Butler student. They have continued to be involved with Butler out of gratitude for how their daughter morphed from a shy freshman into a campus leader over her 4 years, confident in her abilities and character, and stepping from graduation on Saturday to a marketing job on Monday, one made possible through an internship where she was able to make herself indispensable to her future employer. I know similar stories can be told of many of you today, from students matured in intellect and character to parents exulting in your children's entry into the workforce or advanced study. But undergirding your specific preparation for work and life has been, I hope, an education for freedom. All of you have been tutored in the liberal arts, literally the skills associated with the free citizen. They include the ability to think critically, communicate effectively, work cooperatively, and act ethically. But they also encompass dispositions of mind and attitude, what de Tocqueville described as habits of the heart. As graduates of Butler University, you are called to the condition of freedom, a possession to be treasured and preserved lest it be lost. In what ways are you free? First, claim your freedom from received opinion. On the one hand, all of us necessarily begin life trusting in the wisdom of the elders. We presume what we are taught is true. In this sense, received knowledge spares us from having to reinvent the wheel, and intellectual breakthroughs are achieved by building on the past. As Sir Isaac Newton once wrote, "If I have seen further, it has been by standing on the shoulders of giants." But on the other hand, you know that just because an opinion enjoys widespread acceptance doesn't make it true. Advances in knowledge are achieved by correcting and modifying received notions. The very nature of your Butler education has been to equip you to test the received knowledge, values, and assumptions that comprise the lens through which you see the world. Socrates asserted that education is a process of critically examining received opinions, not because they are always necessarily wrong, but because they are not your own until you have claimed them as true. The educated person must decide what values and assumptions to affirm as one's own, and what criteria to use in ascertaining the validity of an assertion of fact or truth. So affirm your freedom from received opinion in the years to come. It will enable you to avoid being swept up by prejudice and passionate intensity. Live the examined life. Second, claim your freedom from fear of difference. There's safety in the familiar, in family and friends who share your values and perspectives. It is natural to prefer the company of the like-minded. Unfortunately, these tendencies can also encourage tribalism. It can be far too easy and comfortable to divide the world into those who are like you and those who are alien. It can be far too easy and comfortable to spend your life in the company of those who never challenge your beliefs. I hope that your Butler education has taught you to respect ideas different than your own and to welcome people different from those you have known. This is not a matter of tepid tolerance or uncritical relativism. It is a realization that knowledge and values are contingent. We must esteem individuals according to their achievement, but we must also remember that the very definition of success and happiness are culturally mediated. In the course of your education, you have been encouraged to seek new experiences, to go abroad, to reach out to those from different backgrounds. This wasn't a matter of charity or generosity, but your introduction to the rich diversity of human life. You welcome the stranger because to another, you are the stranger. In the years to come, may you honor others precisely at the points where they are different from you. Live a hospitable life. Third, claim your freedom from the expectations of others. You came to Butler bearing the hopes of your family and friends. Many of you leave Butler carrying the aspirations of your teachers for you. Those who care for you are well-intentioned, but they also have the potential of distorting your own sense of destiny unless their hopes and aspirations are truly your own. Perhaps the most important and lasting legacy of your time at Butler is that you have developed a sense of your own best self, who you are and what you want to do. As the father of two sons, I have had to resist imposing upon them my sense of what I want for them: financial security, stable employment, marriage, and a happy family. That is, I want grandchildren. What makes my desire so pernicious is that they arise from love and pride. These golden chains are what makes it so hard to free yourself from the hopes and aspirations of those you love and esteem. Yet unless you have the courage to pursue your own dreams, and those who love you give you the freedom to do so, you will always be living out an agenda set by others. This is an essential aspect of integrity, for I believe that unless you maintain a firm sense of yourself, it will be difficult to stand firm in times of temptation and trouble. My favorite book is Robert Bolt's play, A Man for All Seasons. In his preface, Bolt observed of his protagonist, Thomas More, quote, "He knew where he began and left off, what area of himself he could yield to the encroachments of his enemies, and what to the encroachments of those he loved. It was a substantial area in both cases, for he had a proper sense of fear and was a busy lover. Since he was a clever man, he was able to retire from these areas in wonderfully good order, but at length he was asked to retreat from that final area where he located his self. And there, this supple, humorous, unassuming, and sophisticated person, set like metal, was overtaken by an absolutely primitive rigor and could be no more be budged than a cliff," unquote. In the years to come, may you maintain, in Bolt's words, a adamantine sense of your own self. Live a life of integrity. So claim your freedom from received opinion, from fear of difference, from the expectation of others. But what is freedom for? Your Butler education has equipped you, if you wish, to transcend the limits of family background, geography, economic and social disadvantage, and your very past. Your life is what you will make of it. For some of you, that prospect may be frightening, and you may be tempted to seek the familiarity of limits by retreating back to the expectation of others, to the shelter of like-minded communities, to the comfort of inherited values. For others, that prospect may seem exhilarating. In W.E. Henley's words, to be master of your fate and captain of your soul. Yet I will caution, such radical autonomy can lead to a life without commitment. Freedom for its own sake exiles oneself from the obligations of community. It thus may be ultimately lonely and unsatisfying. What is freedom for? My answer may surprise you, because freedom is a means to larger ends. Your freedom lies in choosing to what you want to bind yourself. I spoke earlier of how the most enduring legacy of your Butler education is your development of a sense of yourself. In turn, that self, if you have one, is the most precious gift you can give to others. You are freed from the chains of received knowledge, fear of indifference, and the expectation of others. But I urge you to consider that true living is in binding yourself in promise to those you love. Such promises, freely given, are the bases of lifelong commitment in marriage, in friendship, in service to the community, to the nation, and to the world. You need to reflect in the coming days on what you truly believe and on how these beliefs will shape your choices in the years ahead. Do you believe in telling the truth? What will you do then when a boss suggests that you fudge the numbers on a balance sheet? Do you believe that quality and hard work should be rewarded? What will you do then when a customer asks you to find a job for a child? If you do not decide on your values and live them, then you will be bound by those of others. What are your commitments to be? At my first commencement as Butler's president, my friend, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, told the story of a farmer at sunset watching his field of ripening grain. A traveler comes by and says to the farmer, "It's marvelous what you and God have done with this field." The farmer replies, "You should have seen this field when God had it to himself." The Archbishop went on to say that God is in the world, but we, all of us, are God's hands. What good will be done will be through us and our hands. So what will you do as God's hands in the world? And you, and you, and you. The Archbishop went on to say that what we need to do is be active as God's hands. Today, in my last commencement as Butler's president, I say to my fellow graduates, claim your freedom, but make use of it to pursue, in St. Paul's words, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute. If there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. Class of 2011, I wish you happiness and success in living lives of purpose intertwined with the welfare of others. And for the very last time as Butler's presidents, I say to all of you, go Dogs.